So nice to have my friend and our judge, Mr. Bill Whitehill, with us today. And he's the judge of the 5th Court of Appeals here in Texas, and he's running for re-election. I got to know Bill back in 2012, well actually prior to 2012. Actually,
2011.
Yeah, 2011, when he ran for office the first time. He didn't win, but he ran again in 2014 and he won. And one of the things that I liked about Bill was, well, first of all, I learned about Bill. And what it's like to run a campaign is that you have to be everywhere all the time. And it was amazing how I got to know this guy, because we just kept running into each other. You know, we had different things we were working on. He was working his campaign, I was working on, you know, things I was advancing for the cause of conservatism. And just a real nice guy. And so, you know,
It's funny, yes.
his wife would disagree. But
She's an angel.
yeah, that's true. I think they make a great couple, and I think after all these years, they probably should. But anyway, Bill's a great guy, and you know, when we elect people, we don't elect them just because of their personality. We elect them because of what they believe, their belief systems, and reasons. You know, most of us have personal reasons, but they tend to lend, at least they should lend, to what they stand for. So today we're here to talk with Judge Whitehill, to get a chance to get to know him, for those who don't, and for him to tell us a little bit about himself. So just right off the bat, just tell us just who is Bill Whitehill.
Oh gosh.
Briefly.
I'm just a guy, an ordinary guy. I've been married to my college sweetheart Kit for 41 years now. We have 3 grown children, 3 grandchildren. They keep promising more, so we're very excited about that. I'm a lawyer by training. I practiced law in Dallas for 32 years before I went on the bench with what was then the Gardner Wynn Sewell law firm, one of the state's oldest, largest, most well-respected law firms. But I knew in law school that at the end of my career, this is something I would want to do, which is to serve the community, serve people in the court system, particularly on appellate court, because I love the law. I love everything about the law. I love researching it, writing it, debating it, discussing it, and that's what we do on the Court of Appeals. So 5 years ago, I joined the Texas 5th District Court of Appeals, where I serve as one of 13 justices on that court. And we'll talk more, Ralph, I'm sure, about what that court is and what it does.
Okay. All right. And just a little bit more about Judge Whitehill. One of the things that I've noticed, and this is, I think most people know this, who know you at this point, or who are involved with politics here in the Dallas area, is he's still out there. You know, most people, when they run for office, and it's not, you know, anything negative, it's just the nature of the beast, I guess. They run for office and you see them a lot, and then when they get elected, you don't see them around until the election cycle starts again. And what I've noticed about Bill is we never stop seeing him. You know, it's not because he's running, it's because these are 6-year terms.
They're 6-year terms.
So basically, but we see him because he's involved in different things we're doing. You know, he's the auctioneer at certain fundraisers. He's, you know, participating in this way or that way, just kind of helping out. And of course, your wife is involved as well. So we always see Bill. Bill is, we consider him to be one of us.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. The honor is mine. You know, Eugene, I think that that's the only fair thing to do, right? For a number of reasons. One, we're public servants, and in order to do that job well, we need to be involved with the public and in touch with what's going on in the community. When you run a political race, and I hate to think of a judicial race as a political race because it really shouldn't be, and I don't consider it a political race, I consider it a race for judicial office. But, and particularly in a race like ours, and we'll talk more about that in detail later, you meet people and you develop relationships with people, and it's just not right to treat people to show up when you want something from them. If you're going to have a true relationship with people, you need to be there as much as you can to participate in the relationship. And the most important thing you can give somebody in a relationship is your time, right? And quality time. So that's what we try to do. I think that's just the fair way, the proper way to treat people.
And you told us a little bit about the court, exactly some of the machinations of it. Would you, but I guess my question for you and for the audience would be, from as far as how you look at the law, what would you say is a part of you? What would you say is your guiding philosophy that enables you to make the decisions you do when you're faced with decisions on the court?
My guiding philosophy is protecting, preserving the rule of law, protecting, preserving the constitutional and our three-branch system of government, making sure that the law is fairly applied to everybody, no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, no matter what allegations they're making or what allegations are made against them. Having a successful, productive society depends upon the rule of law. People need to know what the law is when they enter into transactions so that they can plan that. The law, tell me if I'm getting off base, but the law is simply a system for organizing relationships among people so that we can have a productive, successful society and everybody has the best chance possible to achieve whatever it is they want to have in life. But to do that, you have to have certainty and you have to have predictability in the law, which are the rules that we're going to run our families by, conduct our businesses by, live with each other in a community. So people, it's just really, really important that they know in advance what the law is and have an opportunity to organize and plan their lives accordingly. Lawyers need to know what the law is so they can advise their clients accordingly. Judges need to know what the law is so they can make correct decisions. People need to know what the law is so that they can enter into business transactions, they can enter into any kind of relationship successfully. And that's our job. It's our job to do that within the framework of our three-branch political system, government system that I talked about, where the legislature is the policy-making body in our system. People elect them democratically to go to Austin in the state system and develop the policies that we're all going to live by, the rules. It's the governor's job or the executive branch's job to implement those things. And it's our job in the judiciary not to create policy. That's the legislature's job. But it's our responsibility to make sure that the rules are applied according to the words that the legislature uses when they create those policies. So that in our democratically elected representative form of government, people can hold their representatives accountable, right? If we don't apply the law the way it's written, then the system falls apart. People in the legislature are not necessarily held accountable to what they do. And by held accountable, I mean is they have to face the voters. And maybe they made a good policy decision, and they'll get reelected. Maybe they've made a bad policy decision and they won't. But that's their job. Our job is simply to make sure that those rules are applied evenly and fairly to everybody.
Okay. All right. The law is, while we're on the subject, the law that comes about. I mean, there's a lot of discussions about the law these days, and you mentioned this in your last answer. But if you could just kind of elaborate a little bit regarding judges taking positions on issues that do not coincide with the laws that are in place. This is often referred to as judicial activism.
Yeah.
And so right now on the court that you're on, we have 13 justices, right? And is there a chief justice among this?
We have 13 justices on our court. We have a chief justice and 12 other justices.
Okay. And so you are running as a Republican?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And obviously from what many people have seen, there's a difference in I would say somewhat, and this is just my opinion, correct me if you disagree. Among many, there is an understanding, that this is, among the rank and file, the average constituent, that believes that judges should actually create law that don't exist.
No.
Obviously, you know.
No.
Yeah. Well, I said among the constituency.
Yeah.
There's a group of people who obviously believe that. And there's obviously others that don't, like me. I believe that judges should basically rule based on what the law is. The way you see things going right now, and this should, you can answer this if you feel comfortable answering it or not, you know. The way you see things going in general with the courts across Texas, and we're speaking specifically of Texas right now, do you see where there is potentially any problems on the horizon with the courts based on the way things have gone in the past up until now, as far as say rulings that are not sticking to the law?
Yes and yes. I don't want to mention particular
No,
cases
I'm asking you
necessarily or
specifically.
particular judges, but there are different legal philosophies. There's natural law, which is built into our Declaration of Independence and Constitution, which is the notion that law comes from God,
Right.
or it comes from nature, depending upon how you want to look at it. But there are just certain fundamental truths. They're just true.
Right.
And I'm in that philosophy.
Okay.
There are other people that believe as legal philosophy that the law is what they want it to be at the time,
Okay.
to serve whatever purpose they want. They will say that it's to reflect changing societal needs. I'm not in that camp. I think that the law can change to meet social changing needs for sure, but that's the legislature's job. That's not our job.
Okay.
Some people want to find things in the Constitution that aren't there, that believe things in the Constitution need to be changed. I'm pretty happy with the Constitution that we have now, the federal Constitution. But if there's a need to make changes, it's built into the Constitution on how to do it.
Right.
And we should be following that system instead of having judges do it, which was never anybody's intent.
Okay, great. Okay, so a few minutes ago, you gave us a description of your basically, if you could call it that, your judicial philosophy. I would say if you had to summarize that in a sentence, your judicial philosophy, how would you describe it?
My judicial philosophy is I'm a constitutional conservative dedicated to protecting and preserving the Constitution and the rule of law, period. Respecting what we do on our court, and we'll talk about that probably in a little bit more detail, is so incredibly important to the day-to-day life of Texans, particularly the 4 million plus people that live in our 6-county area. But we're just an intermediate court of appeals.
Right.
We're not the legislature, we're not the Supreme Court, we're not the Court of Criminal Appeals. It's our job to take the cases that come to us and decide them correctly, and I say correctly instead of rightly because I think there's a difference. Correctly, in my view, means just a correct application of the law to the facts that come before us, whereas right connotes some sort of moral righteousness. And infusing morality into our decisions is just not our job. Right and wrong should be decided in the legislature, and when there are certain policy questions or questions that come up, that's the Supreme Court's job if they have to tackle those kind of things. It's just our job. We see so many cases a year. Our job is just to get in, do the best job we can, make a decision so that the parties know what our answer is, and then they can go take it to the Supreme Court if they want to try that.
Okay. So you are on the 5th Court of Appeals here in Texas.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how many courts of appeal do we have here in Texas?
We have 14.
14.
14 intermediate appellate courts. First one actually was in Galveston, created back when Galveston was the New York City west of the Mississippi River.
Okay.
But they're the 1st and 14th in Houston, 2nd in Fort Worth, 3rd in Austin, 4th in San Antonio, 5th here, and then they get into smaller communities after that.
Okay. And I was told in one of the previous elections that 95% of the cases that are that get, they don't make it to the Supreme Court?
No,
of Texas?
it's closer to 99%.
Okay, so the majority of the cases that are settled in the appellate court system here in Texas.
Well, the cases that end with a judicial decision,
Okay.
the ending point almost always is
On the
at the intermediate appellate courts.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, that's pretty important. So as you can see, this is a pretty important court that we have good people on it that actually represent the Constitution, take an oath of the Constitution, understand what that is, and actually takes it seriously and do not believe in excuse me, judicial activism, where they're not going to make decisions based on how they feel about it. Because I'm quite sure from time to time there's something that comes up and you may not necessarily agree with the law, but you have to rule based on what the law says, right?
Many times, I don't really care much about what the law is.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my job.
Right.
My job is to make sure that it's applied correctly. Many times I may not like the way that comes out.
Right, right,
But again, I can't
right.
care about that. I took an oath not to care about that. I took an oath to follow the Constitution and the laws. So yeah, there are many, many times where I may not personally like the result.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I can do about that.
Absolutely. So, Judge Whitehill, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, something that you want the constituents to know about, not whether it be you or the court or something as far as your message is concerned, that you would like us to hear?
My message is, I love everybody. I love Texas. I love America. I love my community. I love my family. I love my God. And I just want to be the best person that I can, to do the best job that I can, to serve all those people. And I think that in some instances I'm asked, what passage from the Bible might you consider best describes your thinking about your job, and that would be Micah 6:8. What is it that we are to do? We are to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God, and that's what I try to do.
And once again, your wife's name is Kit.
Yes, well, it's Catherine, but yeah, she goes back in.
Call Kit. And great lady. And I think you guys together just, y'all make a great couple, great team.
Well, that's
And
good.
it's been a pleasure actually knowing you guys. So, just so you know, whenever you see Bill, just like you see that little smirk on smile on his face, his wife smiles the same way. I think when people say that after people together for so long they begin to look alike, I think it might kind of work in your favor, and probably more your favor than hers.
Well,
look more like her.
listen, she's wonderful in every conceivable way, beautiful in every conceivable way. She was never actually a UT sweetheart, but in the running for it,
Gotcha.
and in the running for a lot of those Texas Relays
Okay.
Queen and things like that, which in a school of 40-something students
Wow.
and that's because people who know her recognize that not only is she very pretty, but she's a wonderful person. She's just sweet and dear, and for some reason she agreed to go through life with me, and I'm forever blessed because of it.
And I'd just like to share on a personal note, I believe that whenever we have people who step up to run for office that are good people, that are, from what I can see, their heart is with God, that they have a respect for the Lord, respect for the Constitution, and they're willing to dedicate service to us. We're blessed as a result of your commitment. So
Yeah, listen, the blessing is all mine. The opportunity to do this, my legal career gave me opportunities to do things that a tiny sliver of lawyers get an opportunity to do. But this is probably the greatest honor in it, is to serve the community, to serve the state in this way. I love Texas. I always love Texas. I think it's a fabulous place.
well, it's been great meeting with you, Judge Whitehill. I call it Mr. Bill, especially.
That's fine. Yeah.
He wears that bow tie.
Yeah.
And we look forward to your success.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it, Eugene. Take care.
What's your website again?
WhitehillForJustice.com. That's www.whitehillforjustice.com. Look for signs in the community, learn more about it. Please go to the website, check it out. You'll learn a lot about the courts, you'll learn a lot about me, you'll learn a lot about judicial philosophy, and you'll learn why what we do on our court affects your life every single day, regardless of whether you ever have a case come through the court system. Hopefully you'll never have a case come through the court system. But we do affect your life every day.
Amen.
All right, thanks
Take
so
care.
much.
All right.
Y'all take care.
Absolutely.
Bye.